Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we're going to be checking out this latest release from an act named Samurai titled Nickz. And if we switch over to here, we got ourselves this digital album on Bandcamp. We got 5 tracks to check through today, starting with Mouthpiece and ending with Gemstarz. And we're going to listen through each of these tracks from start to finish. We're going to hear what we think. Should also probably note that this has apparently been released through Dice Cream, which I assume is the label that is representing them. So yeah, starting with Mouthpiece. Let's go. That vinyl fuzz.
Look. Picture the youth, smooth talking, lack with the academics. The story origin deep, but never was passing lessons. From boosting candy and gave the kids in exchange for work. Never paid attention in math, still made that paperwork. Was so influenced by heavy chains on the plasma screens. Told them teachers, fuck all them classes, we finna have this dream. Copped about a half an ounce of that lettuce and waited. Suspended and taken, caught with intent to be slanging. A minor setback, I blew bills like mess hats to get back. Was running uphill in summer on X-Lax, I swear. In debt to the plug, though the money minuscule. Starting off in debt with no money, zero residuals. It's hard, homie. Was like a shootout with your guard only. Rumors say you snitched, now you pulling cards, homie. Skip a couple of chapters, see where I'm at now. No need to fill in deets. What happened? See who got stacks now.
I mean, it's just charming with that electric bass line. The keys in an upper register, the lady backing vocals sort of featuring as a call and response and the gaps in the vocal parts, the main rapped parts by Samurai. It's slick, I gotta admit. A bit of turntablism, old school hip hop.
Giants, the way they take out bills, and kids be getting boxed up like they was takeout meals. From flipping chips, upgrade to a nickel bag of gas. Went up the ladder, the wallet fatted, a bag of yak. The habitat was full of sharks who stab at backs. And matter of fact, I witnessed this over Apple Jacks. Our youth tainted like love, 81 soft sales. Streets want sales until they cousin or got sales. The foundation, the squad's present of narcotics. The youth fountain is just a fountain of gin and tonic. Inside the ops, a pig strap hurting the crew. And every pack tap dance storms murdering fools. These unfocused crabs in a bucket, gun smoking. If I survive, I'm a legend, if not the one closest. These high corners with street hustlers be educated. Millennial shit, either dead or sedated.
There's a lot to go over with this one.
It's crazy. You're not supposed to be able to rap like that. You are not supposed to be able to rap like that. And that's the unlocking of the mind.
Okay, cool. So is this song about Samurai's upbringing? I think he talked about Apple Jacks, which as I understand is a type of cereal. Is this him talking about like his childhood, going to school and everything like that? Going through a few chapters later and figuring out where he's at. There's lines like the fountain of youth is like something with Jen or something like that. There's a lot going on here lyrically. It's in-depth, intense, and I think it's a well-told story. I think you need multiple listens to really get all the nuances there, but I don't think that's a bad thing at all, because I think this track is commercial grade in regards to its production, and I think that the combination of the keys, the bass, the drum samples are phenomenal. I love the authenticity of those. They do remind me of a lot of the early 90s stuff. And in addition to that, the chopping that's going on in the chorus sections with the different vocal parts there. I think there might be different vocalists involved or sampled there, which if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I think it's great that we have that contrast there to kind of give a little bit more sort of background to the story we're trying to tell. Finally, I think that the end part where we talk about we're not really supposed to be able to rap like that insinuates that more than just a mouthpiece and this being a way for Samurai to express themselves, there's an awareness that you know, when you unlock the mind, when you sort of remove your limiter, you've got some really special stuff going on here. I think the Samurai is aware of that, but in a way that's not sort of like obnoxious with its bravado. I kind of appreciate it. We got Golden Era, track number 2.
Check me out, look. Where my motherfuckers at, look. Fuck with me. The ice cream shit. You already know, look. Check me out, look. Look. Fam really flipping grams while I kick the can. Slugs in the street spinning like a ceiling fan. Every blunt lace, people dying over residue. Death round the corner everywhere. I need a better view. Shells in tandem, couple breaks on my Helly Hansen. Felons camping, quick to send you to hell with Manson. Trying to survive while we ducking the base heads. Coke wave heavy to 12, looking to hang 10.
The danger that we're describing here, wanting a different view with the gunshots. The Foley in this album, by the way, is incredible with the effect it's had, how dire and severe it is. The guitar motif, how sort of dissonant and just how sad it is. A depression, a reflection maybe on their situation. Interesting instrumentally for the vibe.
Staring out the blinds loaded like Malcolm X. Paranoia trying to fly with a flock. Flip birds, wrong time, you highlighted the chop. Look, these boys festive, thinking the game dress up. Big worms come to collect, strapping the dress up. I seek truth, learn game from the street dudes. How to be cool when it's hostile like cheap rooms.
Break it down, break it down, break it down, break it down. Show 'em what we got.
Like Nickz and Mavericks.
Back to these fucking streets.
My era kicking the door, yelling empty the safe. These rappers taking shots, couldn't drink Hennessy straight. Hustle hard round bums, I was ostracized.
That line though.
Strap small, but the magazine ostracized. Broad homework, I ain't talking education. Failed math, yeah, my drive broke the expectations. Feel like Debo, better have your links tucked. Thinking you could rob me, try a Brinks truck. Vegas Strip, had a fish scale glowing night. Homies playing chess, black tar versus Yola white. It's a dirty game, gloves when I bag it up. Say they want smoke till it pop like a Camel Crush. All my motherfucking fam know I'm built for this. School of hard knocks, young Breeze wrote the syllabus. Blue bills only now, I'm on another time. Never seen bills that's green, they think I'm colorblind.
Break it down, break it down, break it down, break it down. Show 'em what we got.
It's kind of like an ABA thing, right? With the verses and then the turntablism and the beat. Oh, we got another is that a xylophone? This track in general has a sense of like we really appreciate the fact that things are improving for ourselves, but we understand that not only are the people around us not necessarily after our best interests. The line about not being able to drink Hennessy straight, trying to sort of talk about how hard they are, but not being able to do that is interesting. Now, that was a hell of a slap. But it's also, I think I appreciate how Samurai looks at things like a school, like how he failed math and stuff like that. But then is maybe looking, he talks about how he's sort of like counting the money into golden era and stuff like that, as if he's finding success in other ways where he thought he wouldn't have necessarily gotten it, but he's finding a way to get a different view in the second half of the track from the kind of situation that he was in the first. And the sort of situation with the chorus lines we're discussing, going back to the streets taking control and stuff like that, I think is sort of insinuating that we're going back to maybe the style of music or the type of music that we were listening to when we were growing up, and we're trying to sort of like establish a presence in that way, in a way that is respectful to the older sort of like stuff, but kind of revitalizes it in a way that is meaningful for this day and age, because hip-hop has changed a lot over the last 30 years. But either way, I think that was another really tight track with, they're nice and short as well. Like 2 minutes 50 is a good length for a track and get a lot of real estate covered with that. But we've got Payless featuring Truth, the first feature of this album. A little bit slower this time.
Look, Money Socks is on for this shit. It's always good money when I'm up in the booth, you know what the fuck I'm talking about? Now motherfuckers ain't shit, dog. Light work, exercise. Check me out, look. Ill how I'm heating up, LeBron 2014. Pitching 105 like I'm Chapman, getting more cream. Different hunger, buffed the plate and left the floor clean. 4 fiends try me, they gone and my Jordan 4's clean. Do this for my click like buttons on a remote. I loaded up and had your face blue like a C-note. I'm on my bully, nobody getting exception. Copper wasn't meant for me, it's like an interception. Looking for a pulse, ain't nobody use they hard rapping. Clip you in your chest, how you rip it like DeMar Hamlin. We go to war, I ain't no barber, but I'm using clips. Like an audience, we clap at you, it's humorous.
You know, that I'm not a barber, but I'm using clips. Like the wordplay, you know, it's on point.
Died tragic if the hustle ain't dynamic. Ice around my neck could sink 5 Titanics. Ask what I do, get a hysterical laugh. Money off of green and white like Nigerian flags.
The rhythms are in sync, man. I dig it. The turntablism with da-da-ba-da-da-da, there's such an interesting sort of groove and pace to it. We're establishing a real sort of sense of uniqueness, I think, with a lack of shoving a hook line down the person's throat. There's a little bit more credit given to the listener to figure out not only what we're saying with the disparate, separated sentences and words and the way they're sort of like cut, but also it's just pleasant to have a natural kind of, not that it's a lower point in the song and it's less interesting, but you know, the vocals do come up in the verse because they're the new focal point, right? You get a natural sort of like oscillation there of like the sort of lyrical intensities there, which I appreciate. It's nice to have that even a shorter form track when you're not necessarily bothered about the amount of time it takes.
Mastered the numbers like a nerd in the basement. Crack rocks harder than the curb and the pavement. My verbs is amazing, my birthplace is blazing. Handing out drugs like a nurse and a patient. Watch the world crash and burn, smoking up the ash and urns. Bull in a china shop, wallet like a pachyderm. Stepping on this yay, always bound to take a jagged turn. All this dope money, I could never get a tax return. Stay creative, the snitches never say shit. Bitches getting naked in the back of my spaceship. Paid from the day shift, then it's back to the grave shift. The fiends make payments, still a shit when they cave in. My ops play dead now when they see my blade's edge. I ask any last words and record what they said. Real niggas back in style, stretch you out like latex. I'll spray you up for less than a pair of shoes out of Payless.
So I just had to check the definition of payless. Like, I understand, I think, that what we're trying to potentially insinuate after listening through this track is that what we do, we'd probably do it without the money, but we make money anyways. He talked about a spaceship being funded by his day shift and then going straight into the grave shift. So I assume that potentially we're talking about having to like work a regular job to be able to fund our career. And then we're just getting straight into the studio to be able to work and kind of slap at it during the evenings, which I suppose that grind set is something that is quite prevalent in genres such as this. And I think that it makes sense. You know, you've got to try and find a way to have a career somehow, and that can mean a lot of work. And it can also be a thankless situation, especially in certain genres where a lot of the material is basically talking about your own story and explaining to other people why you're better than others, and kind of if there's diss tracks involved or something like that as well, you know, you have to kind of slap the other person down within reason or without. But talk about stuff like the ice around our neck, sinking 5 Titanics. Again, the wordplay is great. I'm not a barber. Again, I mentioned before that line about barber, but I am using clips. It's we're sort of still trying to sort of communicate the position we're in and the success we're having, and how like he kind of laments the fact that people aren't putting their heart into it because they're looking for a pulse. The motif behind it, with some chimes, those intense basses, drums, some strings as well, issues a sense of emotional kind of gravity and almost a depression at the fact that we're in the situation after all, but it's also like kind of like we're rising for the challenge, or in the middle of our rise, our ascension. It's very dramatic instrumentally. And I think again the chops here are just a nice sort of way of changing up the explicit groove put forward by while there's 8th and 16th with the kicks and snares and stuff like that in the main beat or in the verse parts, there is like a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's nice to have those cuts to sort of add a bit of sort of like diversity there. I think I'm enjoying the album so far though. We've got Fear of God featuring Hilokalon, or Hilokalon. Shorter one this time, but that's okay. See how we use it.
Fuck we got, look, what the fuck we got with this shit, look, check me out, look. Scribble hard, get the dough and blend it like a silver car. Vicious bars drop so many, thought I built a bar. Out the jungle, banana clips and the bathing apes. Shit, how you blown away faster than a paper plate. I seen bums shooting dope without the tourniquets. Murder shit spread toward the bottom like a tournament. Sharp tongue, paper folder, spit that Yola. Stepping on them like a brick with the baking soda. Soprano shit, mixed pasta with the big lobster. Slick talkers bought the place once, dishwashers. Super fly pimp shit, Curtis Mayfield. Crop flippers, block hottest burning hay fields. Plug came with the packs, no holographic. Had to mix numbers, something like a proper fractions. Louis socks, I'm cut from a different cloth than you. I don't pray, still putting the fear of God in.
Real petty, throw it steady up. Prime time, rebel sun guns clink over dumb shit. It's now or nothing, still riding in them buckets. Still causing ruckus. Let's not get to bustin', running in the city crushing. First one dumping, borderline buzzing, never make assumptions. Hoes trying to give me something, my phone keep bugging. I feel the money coming, where you at? On the globe, put my name on the map. We counting stacks, zooming real fast, 180 on the dash, seen the muzzle flash. Got my mind on the cash, where the safe at? Keep a face mask, it's way back. Playmaker like Steve Nash. I hit the gas, finna smash with the beam attached. These no facts, chains getting snatched. Rock my name on the Ave, check the stats. I flood your hood like snowpack. Watch the way a low gas, shoot you like Kodak.
Oh, Kodak. Oh, I think I know about Kodak. So I've listened to this one a few times. Now I can clearly tell the difference in vocal textures or timbres between Hilokalon and Samurai. Samurai having the first verse, Hilokalon having the second. They're both great rappers, and I think even though I wasn't so sure about when Truth came in the last one, I think they're both great rappers too. There were absolutely no weaknesses with the flow, the different rhythms and stuff like that we've used. I'm also noticing consistencies with the use of different instruments we have within these. We're predominantly using our sort of sampled sort of drum kits, our basses, nice bass 08, some sort of misty, sort of lo-fi-ish kind of keys there with a bit of filtering involved to kind of let them flutter. Some sort of extra vocal samples in the back, or we have some lady kind of vocals that are kind of calling, responding in certain tracks. Not this one, but like Payless, for example, the one before. And so there's instrumental consistency, the use of different layers across this album so far, which I appreciate. But to talk about what I think this track is about, I think that it sounds like, especially with the comment at the end from Hilokalon about like the talking about the Kodak murder and stuff like that, I get the impression that they're discussing a place that's quite dangerous and that you need to really sort of be careful about the way you behave and sort of carry yourself. Because if you don't do things in a certain way, you could just become unlucky and you could get shot effectively. Things are kind of volatile and violent from what I understand after listening to this track. And that danger there, kind of putting the fear of God on someone, I think that makes sense with the subject matter. I think that the music is not particularly upbeat or like inspirational by any means. It's more trying to get you to understand the severity of the position they're in. We're celebrating the fact that Samurai and Hilokalon and Truth and etc. are finding success, but at the same time, there are a lot of things they're not necessarily super stoked about, and that's just part of it. They're finding success with the money and everything like that, but there's still some downsides. But still, I think it's a well done track, and it's just under 2 minutes. I think it was a great use of time, great use of real estate with just, Samurai's bar and then Hilokalon straight into it without a hook. I think that was a nice, refreshing thing. Even though I enjoy the turntablism, it's good to have a bit of variety in there. We've got Gemstarz, track number 5 for today.
Hey yo, what's up? Let's keep it real, son. Count this money, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hey yo, put the grants over there in the safe, you know what I'm saying? Cause we spinning these Jacksons. The Watsons go to wifey, you know how that go.
I'm saying that's what this is all about, right? Clothes, bankrolls, and all.
Great use of saxophone there. Nice extra lead.
Punish and met this, had to fight since the contraceptives. Couldn't stop me, beat me down, I came back for the seconds. Streets flooded with criminal talk and jewelry. You go from one to the other, make it a eulogy. Inside of you and me, doggy dog in the jungle now. Rumble with them rubber grip handles until you underground. Desperation had higher levels, they swiping bezels. Situations get dire, the type that iron settle. Most get caught in the fire, they don't deserve to be. They trying to put food on the table, now it's surgery. I seen a lot, some swear to say what it supposed to be. Some don't believe until you see them with rosaries. Cause when the reaper come, GCs to speak in tongues. Beep is wrong, but what's the sale if the demons won? Lesson score with loss, I just develop more. I cop the food for thought and stay for the second course.
The real rappers is hard to find. The only way to live, if you really think about it. What you expect? While you even alive.
Some had jazz ports with drugs that transport to clubs called gang. Some they go task force, get bugged on that sucker steez. Never quite sure who really fuck with me. Bonds go south for taste of comfort and luxury. Rappers like ball players and spots, they try and take it. We on the field throwing bullets, swear that I'm Peyton. Stay under heat because I'm cold-blooded. Roy Jones Jr. with hand-to-hand, they know I'm gold-gloving. Look, some get manicure for the cuticles. Rings on their finger big, thought they won the Super Bowl. We in the war like it's not really out the mud. There's dirt in the sink and bloody money getting counted up.
Dirt in the sink and bloody money getting counted up. It's Gemstarz. We'll continue.
The West back stacks in the North Face. Fatten up the pig streets, tell you how that pork tastes. I grew to be cold and heartless just to improve the green. They thought we blind how the cane moved through the street.
The real rappers is hard to find. The only way to live, if you really think about it.
The only way to live if you really think about it.
What you expect? While you even alive.
Samurai shit.
Ice cream.
I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
If I had me $1 million, I'd give me a Porsche 959.
I get me a sports car, a Jaguar.
Damn, I get me a Ferrari Testarossa V12 engine. Give me a Porsche 930 straight 6 turbo engine. Give me a Vector B12 twin turbo. Go from 0 to 60 in 7.8 seconds. So don't even talk.
Yeah, but who cares? Because you ain't never gonna have $1 million anyway.
I will too.
Who's tripping now?
Ain't nobody tripping. I'm gonna have it. Someday I'm gonna have it.
All right. Interesting little section at the end. I wonder if that is Samurai when they were younger, or maybe like something else. I'm not sure, but let's discuss this. Let's discuss this last track, Gemstarz. I think this one, especially with the end verse there, the second part, kind of talking about the dirty money and stuff like that. I'm wondering if we've been playing into, like, they discuss the fact that a lot of people get put into sort of like shitty situations, even if they don't necessarily mean to. They're just trying to put food in their families. And they're discussing the fact that these are unfair and it's not good, and that when they talk about the dirty money, I kind of wonder if they're talking about sort of the downside of this sort of like need for wealth and dreams of success and being able to do whatever the hell you want with money and stuff like that. Maybe we're contemplating whether the dream we have in order to be successful is actually the most dangerous thing of all, in the sense where, like, sure, there's nothing wrong with being sort of commercially successful as a musician or being wealthy as a whatever, but you know, what are the consequences of that? You know, who else is going to get hurt in the way? And maybe we're even sort of challenging whether or not things can be improved or adjusted so that there's less of this going around. I think it's good to ask questions like that if that is the case, and if I'm completely off base, then I'll own that. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this album from an act named Samurai titled Nickz. Now, what do I think this album is about? I think that this album is about several things. It's about the fact that, he's rapping well with Mouthpiece. He considers himself to be in a position where, like, even though he struggled maybe when he was younger, and there's been like a difficulty to get where he is today, he's now a Mouthpiece. He's able to sort of speak his truth, and he's finding ways to kind of get that across in a way where it's really helping him, and he's finding a level of success, as alluded to in Golden Era, where there's people around him that didn't necessarily take him that seriously, but like now that he's kind of get that green, it's some things are improving. But in Payless, it's talking about like maybe whether it really is paying off with that, that success is worth the amount of work that's needing to be put in, talking about like the risks and rewards and stuff like that, and the fact that there is pain that goes with that pleasure, etc., with Truth providing some. I'd have to have another listen to sort of discern where Truth was in there, because these are the first time I listened to Truth or Hilokalon, by the way. I've reviewed stuff from Samurai before, but not Truth or Hilokalon as far as I'm aware. It's just that Hilokalon had a different vocal timbre, was in a higher register, etc., so it was more easy to tell what was going on there. But yeah, with Fear of God, I think it's talking about like the real tangible danger of getting involved in music and trying to find a career within it, or just in the situation that they're in, talking about like just the general sort of way, the area maybe they grew up or something like that. And then with Gemstarz, talking about like the overall sort of combination of those different ingredients into the situation where Samurai is, and even though they want to find success and further the growth and stuff like that, they are aware that there is collateral damage occasionally and that people don't deserve to get caught up in it. I think that the Samurai is trying to sort of question that, if I'm not mistaken. So that's I think the album is about, in general, as a per track thing. The vocals tell that story well. I think that this is made up of a lot of different sort of like chopped sample parts and like the turntable sections and like the choruses of every track apart from Fear of God. And I don't think that we necessarily missed out on a chorus with Fear of God. It was nice to just have a 1 and then a 2 feature and then kind of be under the 2-minute mark for that. But Truth and Hilokalon and Samurai, there was absolutely no weak bars within this. I think that the verse parts were really stellar. There was some really good wordplay in there. I got most of the words through clearly. I had to listen through a few of the tracks a couple of times just to really kind of get a hint of what the track could be about, just to get more sort of like info so that there was less nuance involved, and so I didn't kind of make too much of a silly billy out of myself. But when I listen to this, I think it shows me that these are musicians who are experienced and they're polished and they're confident about their abilities, and they've got a message that they want to share with people, and do it in like a really authentic, eloquent way. It was the bars and the wordplay, and it was told in a way where it just synced really well with the rest of the elements in the mix. Had a nice sense of kind of like unison with some of the more rhythmic elements like the drums and stuff like that. And in general, I had absolutely no worries or concerns about hearing this album through its entirety, because they could rap that well. I think that when you have that sample and like Mouthpiece where like they don't know you could rap that well, or you shouldn't be able to rap that well unless you're open your mind, it makes me think, like when you hear that initially without enough context, it's like, oh, are they really that good? But no, they are. I think it's the lack of needing to necessarily hold back, or the need to sort of like put a limiter on ourselves that can often sort of remove the believability of it, but we didn't have that situation here. So I think that there was interesting sort of phrases here, and the chemistry between the featured acts and the main was good. The tracks were typically between 2 and 3 minutes, if not 4 for Gemstarz, and I like that. I think that we had a couple of verses, typically 1 per each, and we had like chorus sections with the exception of Fear to God, which had like an intro part, and then the vocals just came through and we had an A and B and then we're done. And I think that's all we really needed here. It was nice to have the bass, drums, keys, the occasional saxophone or strings or other synth parts or keys come in and be nice, because there were like main instruments and then there were ones that featured occasionally. If I was to talk about the ones that were more common, you had really interesting 8th note grooves on the percussion a lot of the times. They had a nice sort of sense of swing, they had swing triplets, like a sense of swagger to them, which I appreciated. And they thumped and had a great presence in the mix, and things were nicely notched and they weren't overcomplicated. There were some occasional sort of like tom fills I think that might have been taken from other things, but aside from that, it's typically just the hi-hats, the snares and the kicks, and I think that's all we really needed. It was nice also to have the drums like taken out of the mix somehow, sometimes, just to allow for a sense of like weightlessness with the other elements, even if there was a bit of bass there. So that was cool. And I think that just the drums kept a nice sense of pace moving forward without going too quickly, and the beats were flexible enough that it didn't matter what tempo we were at. They were still applicable. The bass lines there, I think we were switching between electric basses and 808s, if I'm not mistaken. I think that when we had the electric bass, such as a Mouthpiece, maybe we were going for more of sort of an organic sound with that tone there, but it had a nice sort of punchiness to it and presence in the mix. The 808s that we had, they sounded kind of grainy and earthy, and I think that they had a place and a point in it as well. We were never too exotic with our bass lines. Like, we typically stayed very much in tune with the harmonies and other progressions there, but I think that was for the best. We didn't need to overcomplicate things like that, especially as the vocals were the focal point. The keys that we had were nice upper or mid to register elements that didn't necessarily go too low, I think, because we understood that the bass was filling up such an amount of space, and the vocals again were the focal point, so the keys can sometimes interfere with that if they're too colorful or too varied. So I'm glad that we niched that there. There was never anything too sort of technically ridiculous. It was mostly just little sparkles or bits of extra zazz there. Small sort of simple ideas that either moved the chord progression forward or twinkled in the ether. I think there was a guitar part in Payless or Fear of God or something like that was kind of interesting. And that guitar part just kind of sounded a little bit kind of sad and lonely. And it was interesting that we discussed that or had that tone in there, because it really helped to sort of cement some of the things that we've been discussing in the vocals. It's nice to have that tonal inclusion or connection there. The saxophone in Gemstarz was nice and elegant and had a great sort of fullness to the tone there, which allowed it to be present whilst also being a sub-layer and didn't interfere too much with the way that the bars were performed. And it added a sense of classiness to it and sophistication there. That was a nice... nothing here was like gross or anything like that throughout the album, but I mean, that's just like it adds some jazzy inclusions and never a bad thing. Especially if you're sort of communicating at stuff or trying to figure out stuff internally. Having a bit of complexity or kind of nuance to it can be good if you've got that being discussed in the vocals as well. And the strings that I think we had in one of the tracks as well were splendid as well. They were nice and refreshing, and they were subtle again. Like, they were on another one of those sub layers, because you had like the mains and the subs and like the bass and like fundamentals like the kicks and snares and stuff like that. But it had a sense of dimensionality to the mix whilst reinforcing those minor chord progressions, because the theme across these tracks, they weren't particularly happy songs. There was nothing in here which was celebrating or super positive about the position we're in. We were never trying to... I think that there's a risk of it being cheesy if you do that, to be fair. It almost seemed like we were satisfied with our growth and our position, but we're kind of annoyed that we had to go through that journey in the first place, and we want better than this, and we feel as if we deserve better than this. And I think that if they continue to work at it, they'll definitely find that success. Finally, the studio recording, mixing, and mastering was great. I think that the vocals had a great presence in the mix, so nicely filtered and EQ'd. The guitars, piano, bass, drums, etc. were nicely sidechained and had a great sort of presence in the mix. There were no resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum, so things were nicely niched there. Things were nice and wide in the stereo field without too much stuff kind of overwhelming the listener, so it was still easy to focus on the rap parts. You can basically ignore everything else. I should also talk just about the turntablism and the backing vocals whilst I'm here, because I suppose the turntablism is equally sort of like a recording thing as it is a performance thing. The turntablism kind of reminded me of a lot of the kind of earlier kind of hip hop and rap from like the 90s and stuff like that. I like the fact that we played around with that and didn't feel the need to shove a hook line down someone's throat. As I mentioned earlier, it's just great that we get that flexibility to be able to appreciate it on our own terms without being sort of told what to think. And you're kind of encouraged to sort of like figure it out for yourself, to kind of listen really carefully and hear it. And then boom, there's another verse, right? I just want to also give a shout out to some of the female vocals as well and some of the other sample bits as well, which had a nice sense of color in the higher range, that I think that was good. But yeah, it was nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression limiting was handled, but it also had dynamic range. It had a sense of life to it because things weren't kind of smacked together with things being too kind of pumping, as I mentioned earlier. It was vibrant in a weird way. It sounded like a professional recording. I mean, this is basically my review of this album from an Acne Samurai titled Nickz, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via their various social medias and Bandcamp page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time as they need the help more than ever. Thought of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.